President Trump was begging at his rally for suburban women to like him. I'm not joking. That's not hyperbolic. He was doing that. Why don't you like me? Do you like me? Can you please like me? It was really something special. But anyway, this fucking guy. There's no demographic that despises him more than suburban women. So that makes his begging sort of like extra funny. And I know because my mom is a perfect example. Like, literally, suburban woman. And she hates everything about him because he has all of those qualities, which are the shitty qualities that are the stereotypical example of, like, the macho man. You know, like, takes no responsibility, really arrogant, overestimates his intelligence. Like, all those things. It's just like, it screams every quality that a suburban woman would hate. So CNN decided, okay, well, let's actually speak to some suburban women, namely in one of the most important swing states, or what's supposed to be a swing state, Pennsylvania. And let's talk to women who voted for Trump and are now flipping and voting for Biden. Look at the issues they bring up as what really ultimately changed their mind.
Was there a moment in the last 4 years when you said, I can't do this again?
The COVID pandemic, the way he handled it, that was the absolute last straw for me. He didn't create the virus, but he kind of left us all in the dark guessing what was going on, and that wasn't fair to us.
Among the women we spoke to, the coronavirus, the president's handling of the pandemic, and the racial unrest following the police killing of George Floyd were the overwhelming driving issues.
George Floyd's killing was a pivotal moment for me. And when I read that he was begging for his mom, as a mother myself, it just brought me to my knees. And to see what's happened since, I feel like he's added fuel to flames of hatred. And that really bothers me.
Yeah, what you just heard here, this is anecdotal, obviously, but it also is what's reflected in the national data. It is. COVID is the number one issue to people. The number one issue. And it looks like that's really the straw that broke the camel's back for a lot of these suburban women. Where they're like, you know, I guess I could handle all the things that annoyed me, but when you utterly, abysmally fail on a virus that kills now 215,000 Americans, I can't look past that. I can't excuse that. And for those of you who might say, oh, did he really fail? Yes. The post office was ready to send out masks to every single American. He blocked the plan because he didn't want to panic people. He said it. He said it on the phone to Bob Woodward. He was like, yeah, I'm downplaying it because I don't want to panic people. But he even said in the same phone call, this is way worse than the flu. Publicly, he was saying, this is like the flu. You're caught, dude. You're caught. You didn't take this thing seriously. Still waffles on masks, even though he had COVID. He had it. Might still have it. Who knows? He's definitely gonna get through. I think now he seems a lot healthier in recent days, but he still might be testing positive for it. We don't know. They're lying and saying he's not, but I don't believe them because they lie about so much other stuff anyway. But he may have it. He may have already defeated it. But bottom line is, you're still waffling on masks. You had COVID. You blocked a plan to give all Americans masks. That's inexcusable. It's inexcusable. And other developed countries handled this so much better. By the way, the economy is tied to COVID because you shut down the country and then you didn't do enough stimulus. You didn't, like other developed countries, nationalize wages temporarily. We didn't do that, and we only gave one stimulus check for such a long pandemic, and it's still going on right now. People are really struggling out there. So COVID is one of the main issues that's changing people's minds. So this is just an anti-Trump swing election where he failed on the main issue facing the country. But beyond that, they're pissed about his response to the George Floyd protests. Now, funny enough, he thinks like, no, this is the area where I should be doing best because he's trying to be, you know, me, I'm Mr. Law and Order, and I'm going to make sure to protect the suburbs from these, mobs of rioters and looters. That's the position he's taken. But the reason why people are not buying it is because they saw, remember when he tear-gassed peaceful protesters, threatened to invoke the Insurrection Act, which would deploy U.S. soldiers on U.S. streets, and then did a photo op with a Bible in front of a church. What happened there was people's interpretation of that event, people's perception of it was the exact opposite of what he was hoping. He was hoping people would watch that, suburban women would watch that and say, oh, he's going to bring calm to the situation. He's going to pacify the protesters. He's going to restore law and order. Really what happened is, and they said it, I think they literally used the words, he added fuel to the fire. See, a real president who wants to calm the country, make things better, gives a speech, and he says something along the lines of, this is a very tumultuous time in our history. There's a lot of pain and suffering and hurt out there. Today we need to come together as Americans. And what we need to do is make sure we have solutions that'll fix this problem so there's never another George Floyd incident. And what I'm going to do is do everything in my power to achieve that goal, and we will make sure there's no more rioting and looting as well, because that doesn't count as peaceful protest. So in other words, you could thread the needle. And Democrats have done this in the past. They have. Where they make an argument like, yeah, like I'm with you, like I see why you're hurting, and we're going to do something about it. But at the same time, yeah, you can't just riot and loot. You just can't do it. If he came out and gave a speech like that, then people might have gone, okay, that's leadership. He couldn't do it. All he knows how to do is take a side, double down, triple down, hurl insults at the people he perceives as his enemy, and add fuel to the fire. And that's the thing that really pissed them off. I see it, man. I get it. I can see how I can see how, and this is why Biden is beating Trump on law and order related issues. That's still an amazing fact. And he's beating him like by a lot. I don't remember the exact numbers, but there was a poll and they listed law and order issues, and Biden has a giant lead on Trump when it comes to law and order. And so I see it. I can see why they flipped. You could argue they should have never been for Trump in the first place, but it took COVID. It took the unrest, probably the economy as well, even though they didn't bring that up. COVID's related to that, for them to really see the light. And again, Trump is in a lot of trouble. The only demographic he's winning is men with no college degree, and I think it might be 50 years and older men with no college degree. Every other demographic, Biden is draxing them sklounced. Every other demographic. So, yes, this is anecdotal. Yes, CNN is usually propaganda, and they're not even good at it. But there also happens to be a grain of truth in this, and it's reflected in the national numbers.